Welcome to the Farmhouse. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Candace.
And we have a very special episode of the Farmhouse today. We are doing a Farmer Wants a Wife roundtable episode. And for once, even though normally it's just me and Candace here in the studio, we are not by ourselves. We have lots of friends.
And for the first time ever, we actually have men in the studio. Usually the Farmhouse is a women-only space, but today we're joined by two of our male coworkers.
So yeah, today's episode is going to be a ton of fun. If you've watched Farmer Wants a Wife, you're going to absolutely love it. If you have not seen the show, I still think you're going to have a lot of fun with us. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive in and see what everyone thinks of the show so far this season. All right, I'd like to say hello and welcome to our friends and coworkers who are joining us in the Farmhouse today. Why don't we go down the line and have you all introduce yourselves and what you do here at the paper?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Schweitzer. I'm the Special Sections Editor.
Justin Bucks. I pretty much do whatever I'm told, especially when it comes to social media and TikToks, but by title, I'm the president of Lancaster Farming.
And hello, I'm Steve Sieber. I'm the executive editor. I'm also the dance coach for the editorial staff.
Do we dance? It's news to me.
We do now.
Hi, I'm Karen Lefevre, and I'm the paginator and graphic artist for the Lancaster Farming.
All right. Well, Candace and I are very glad that you all agreed to join us today at the Farmhouse so we can do this very fun special episode. So for our listeners, basically, all of us here have been watching every single episode of season 2 of Farmer Wants a Wife, and we all have a lot to say about it every week, all the time. Most of us here do that through written content on our website. If you go to lancasterfarming.com and search Farmer Wants a Wife, you can find all of them. There's one for every episode. And again, we always have a lot to say. And then Justin also watches every week, and he's obsessed with the show. And by force, thanks to me, he does TikTok videos every week where he gives all of his thoughts and opinions on the show. And I guess what started out as by force, he's on TikTok, I think now he actually just wants to be.
By choice.
Yeah, now it's by choice. All right, great. So, yeah, let's jump in. Candace and I will be kind of like moderating the roundtable today, and we have questions for everyone, and we'll, of course, also chime in with our thoughts and opinions as we go. So, let's get started. Other than Steve, we all watched last year as well as this year. Steve only joined us this year. So let's compare the two. What do you guys think of this season so far compared to season 1? Rebecca, we'll start with you.
They're really trying to get the drama in this season. I just don't know if it's working for them. I appreciate the effort. But honestly, I miss the old guys. I don't know what it is, but I liked last year's farmers better than this year's farmers. They're fine this year, but I don't care as much about them, unfortunately.
All right. Let's see, Karen, what do you think so far of season 2?
I disagree. I like the farmers from this season a lot more than last year. I don't know why. I feel like most of them are more genuine, and I like how they've been more decisive about knowing that they don't have any feelings for the girls and letting them go. Last year, I thought the guys kept the girls on the farm a lot longer than they should have.
All right, Justin, you've watched both seasons. What are your thoughts?
I feel like this year there's a little bit more of a natural flow to things where it's not at the end of each episode line up the ladies and it's like gym class where they pick one to boot off the island. It's more natural. Like some of the ladies are raising their hands to go home. It's just more of a natural dating scene. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what we're seeing. There's some of these like odd conversations and breakups that like just don't even make sense. That you just wonder like, what the heck happened here off camera?
Yeah. I feel like that happened last year too. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we don't get to see.
True.
And we kind of heard that directly from, was it Hunter who you spoke with? That they said like there's so much that gets cut out.
Yeah, and Ryan I think really felt that way too, that it was like you don't see a lot of the conversations that actually are had.
Yeah. I agree with you because I like the fact that more women are kind of taking their fate into their own hands this year where they're just like, you know what, it's not happening, we're not clicking or whatever, and they're heading out. So I appreciate that. All right, well, let's go to the next question, which is, what is our favorite dramatic moment? Because for me, this show, I think one of my biggest critiques of it is that it can be a little slow at times, and so I kind of live for those dramatic moments to keep me interested. Steve, what's been your favorite dramatic moment this season so far?
Well, there's been a few, but imagine this show without Reba or Joy. I mean, it would be kind of dull.
Snooze.
So combined, the drama between the two of them was entertaining. Reba storming off the set or basically being done surprised me a little bit because she promoted herself as like this tough personality that wasn't going to give up, if she wanted this, nobody's going to take her man away from her. And then she stormed out. She quit. She gave up. And then, we felt bad for Joy. And then we find out Joy has no feelings. And
what a twist.
Yeah. So I felt like Reba was vindicated. So like that storyline really stands out for me.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I did a 180 on Joy after that one episode. What a surprise.
I feel like we were all initially Team Joy, and now we're all just kind of like, oh, that's not what we expected.
Was Reba right all along?
Shocker.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Karen, what's been your favorite dramatic part of the series?
Reba's interactions with Brandon and like just basically bossing him to like get rid of her and to not like her and then that just started the whole feud with them. So that would probably be the same as Steve's.
Yeah. What about you, Justin?
Well, in Reba's defense,
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Oh my.
I do feel like they're playing up kind of the negative side of her at times. I feel like there have been times where you kind of see her in the background having a good time, it's all happy, and they just like, it's almost like they put her up to some of the dramatic moments. But her storming off was dramatic. I also thought that last week when Jennifer Nettles came in, or when she delivered the letter to the guys and they're reading the letter about new women coming to the farm, just some of the like death looks, and it got tense very fast, and that was very dramatic across the board.
Yeah, the plot twist was new for season 2, so I feel like that threw all of us for a loop who watched season 1, because I definitely was not expecting that to happen. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out. So obviously Farmer Wants a Wife is a dating show, so they're going on dates. So let's see everyone's favorite dates. Rebecca, do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite, but I need to preface it's not based off of the man or the things he said during the date.
It's funny because I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Just based on that.
Yeah. I love the dancing. I am all for two-stepping. I love swing dancing, all of it. So that's my favorite. Mitchell just needs to learn how to interact with another human being.
Sorry if you're listening, Mitch. Karen, what about you? Do you have a favorite date?
Yeah, not to repeat myself that I write every week about it, but I love horses. I love riding horses. So any date that has to do with horses, I'm in. And of course, the last one with Ty and Megan was just so romantic. They went riding and they went racing, and then they had the sunset and the kiss. So I thought that was awesome.
Romantic. Steve, I feel like you're not necessarily going to choose the most romantic date as your favorite.
No, I mean, actually, I was kind of torn. There's several in there. I wrote about this, and you probably think I'm weird, but I just have this thing about salad and lettuce.
Yeah,
Please tell us.
all of us here on staff are well aware of Steve's issues with certain lettuce, but I would love for him to explain this to our listeners.
Well, really, very quickly, like lettuce, when you make a proper salad, the leaves should be torn, not sliced. Not like, I don't like a strip of ribbon for a romaine for a Caesar salad. It's not fork friendly.
We have to explain for everyone else that these are shots fired at our local cafe that we all love very much, but Steve takes umbrage with the way they slice their lettuce.
That's huge, though.
So, lettuce hot takes from Steve might be a new segment on the podcast. Just kidding. We're hopefully never going to talk about this.
Lettuce to salad is like bread to sandwich. It's the most important element. Like,
Okay, but the real question is what kind of lettuce? Because that's more important than how it's cut.
Oh.
The thing, since we're
Also,
talking,
right, at some point we're gonna bring this right back around to the
Okay.
date he's talking about eventually. But yeah.
well, yeah, we don't have to dwell on that. I'm currently in therapy on this. To me, it's just like bread with a sandwich. You gotta have your lettuce cut properly. Anyway, moving on. There was that date between Brandon and Reba, where they were in the barn having dinner together. And it's not my favorite date, but I really zeroed in on them trying to fall in love while eating salad. That's harder to do than you think.
For some.
It's so crunchy. But that's the date that I remember most. But like Karen, I thought the horseback date was the most romantic for me. I'm not a fan of either of those characters. Are they characters? They're real people.
They're real
I'm sorry.
contestants. They are real
But it's a
people.
show. Characters on the show. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Ty and Megan. Is it Megan on
Mhm.
that date? They're fine. They're just not my favorite characters. But the horseback date was very romantic.
Well, I think if anything, Megan proved that she's maybe kind of cut out for farm life. She definitely knows how to ride a horse, if anything. But what about the rest of these women? Do we think that they are actually cut out for farm life? Because part of the appeal of the show is also this sort of city mouse meets country mouse sort of thing. And a lot of these women are, to mix my metaphors, fish out of water. So Rebecca, let's start with you. Do you think any of these ladies cut out for the country life, for the farm life?
As you said, I think Megan's a good fit, and I think Sydney's a good fit. And I think they're both good fits on the farm that they are on, because Megan has the horses, and Sydney has this opportunity to kind of build something. Some of the other girls, I think they're a good fit for rural life. Like, I can see them in the small town. I can see them with, like, raising their kids in a very rural area, which can be very different. I can see them doing that, but in terms of them on the farm, I have to wonder how much involvement they'd actually have. I'm specifically thinking of Taylor. Like, she seems happy down in Florida, but I can't imagine her going out and spraying pesticides on the trees.
It's a valid critique
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What are your thoughts?
on the characters.
I'm sorry. Characters. It is a TV show.
True.
Honestly, I think that every single one of them is cut out for farm life. It's a state of mind. Do they want it? That's what we're here to find out. Anybody, and I'm not downplaying the hard work it takes to be a farmer. You have to decide as an individual if you're up for this or not. So if the question is anybody capable? Yes, they're all capable. We're gonna find out in the end who wants it. I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
True. Yeah. I mean, hopefully they recognize sooner than later that they're up for this sort of thing. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on Megan and Sydney. I think they fit in well. Really, anyone on Mitchell's quote-unquote farm, like, I think as long as they're good with rural life, they'll be good there, because it's not like hardcore farming at this point. And for any of them, I guess it's kind of like the role they're going to take on there. But yeah, Megan and Sydney, all good. I mean, Grace is pretty easygoing. I could see her working out on Brandon's farm. I mean, I don't remember where she's from or what her background is, but she seems pretty down to earth. She could hang. But and Nathan, all of his ladies seem like they're fitting in pretty well there. I think they filmed this show in October or November though, so let's see them in June, July, August in Florida.
That is
Could be a different
Good
show.
point.
yeah, it's kind of funny because we all talked about, or I guess we're going to talk about briefly, what farm do we want to work on? And, spoiler alert, I know a lot of us are really thinking about Florida right now because we're in Pennsylvania, we're in a cold snap, and I think we'd love to be somewhere warmer. But yeah, Florida in March and February seems appealing. Florida in August sounds awful.
Maybe that's when the gators come out too.
Ooh.
We did get one gator sighting, which I was very excited about. That's what I wanted. But yeah, that leads right into what we want to talk about now, which is which farm would we personally want to work on. And I know I said that I would pick Nathan's farm because A, citrus is lovely, and he also has cows, and I think beef cows are really cute and they're fluffy. And also Florida sunny, lovely. Sounds great. But like, I also think part of my decision there is just that I like Nathan.
I'm cold. Oh,
There it,
I
there
or
it is.
that, but
that
I
was
also
that was a huge driver in my decision. Is I'm cold and I want to be somewhere warm, and I also like that it's on the water. So-
yeah, no, it's beautiful, and I think Nathan's a hottie, and it sounds like a great place to be. So, where does anyone else want to work? Steve, where would you work? And is your reasoning because the farmer's a hottie?
I know that he's not a character; he's a farmer. But I would position myself. I'd like to be on Nathan's farm when it's not hurricane season. Keep in mind, he lives next to a lake. I would think during the summer, the chances of getting West Nile virus probably goes up.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of mosquitoes. You gotta
That is
consider
true.
that.
That's true.
He's very close to the lake. But I like his house the most. The pool and the tiki bar look like a lot of fun. You know, you work really hard during the day in the orange groves and with the cattle. And then you go home at the end of the night and you unwind by the pool and the tiki bar. Perfect life. Now, when it's hurricane season, I'm moving out to Brandon's farm because, as we know, the importance of commodities come and go, and consumer preferences change all the time. One thing never changes. America loves French fries.
It's true.
Brandon will always be in business.
So, Steve, you're going to be like a fair weather farmer. You're going to farm in Colorado when it's nice weather there, and then you're going to farm in Florida when it's nice weather there.
I mean, we're talking like a perfect world of farming.
All right.
It's not realistic, but this is a reality show, so we're not talking about realism. So,
You want to be a migrant worker. is
Yeah.
what you want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right. Karen, where are you farming?
Well, Candace now has me rethinking my thought, and so does Steve, because my farm would have been the Florida farm, but I reminded myself I hate the heat. I hate mosquitoes. I don't want to meet an alligator, but I think the Florida farm, because I do enjoy a pool. I do enjoy a tiki bar, and I hope he has air conditioning.
All right. Rebecca, are you also going to Florida, or are you going elsewhere?
Absolutely not. I am not a Florida person. Don't put me there. My hair won't deal with it. I won't deal with it. I don't do heat. I don't do humidity.
Feel ya.
I don't do alligators.
All right.
All excellent points.
All of that said, I'm also not a fan of horses. I am so sorry to all our horse listeners. It's nothing personal. So I'm not going to Ty's farm. I don't know what Mitchell's farm is. So maybe it's a good fit. Ask me in a year. I don't know. But by default, I'm going to Brandon's, and I do love potatoes. So
Yeah.
it fits.
We are pro potato on this podcast.
Very pro potato podcast. I'm glad you brought up Mitchell, because this leads us to one of the greatest mysteries of this season, and that is Mitchell actually a farmer?
The
And we're
big
going to get
question.
everyone to answer this, because, I mean, it could go in any direction. Karen, you want to start off?
Yeah. I have a few thoughts. I think we've all figured out he's a hunter. Definitely a hunter. You see his house, there are a lot of heads of animals that he has killed. As for, is he a farmer? I don't think he's a farmer yet. I think he's a farmer wannabe. He bought the acreage, and it's in his heart to actually become a farmer. So I think let's let him have his time and see what he produces.
All right. Steve, we know that you are of the opinion that anyone can be a farmer. Is Mitchell a farmer?
Well, let me qualify that. Not anybody can be a farmer. Anybody can desire to be a farmer.
Gotcha.
They have to execute it. It's not an easy job by any means. So on Mitchell, yes, I believe he's a farmer. His heart is in it.
Wow.
Who are we to say that he's not a farmer? He says he's a farmer. I'm behind Mitchell 100%. You know what? There's only one reason I'm not an astronaut today. It's because my parents told me I couldn't be an astronaut. Or
That's
I
the
wasn't
only
an-
reason?
That's the
That's
only
it?
reason. I was the first kid in my neighborhood to drink Tang. I mean, it's true.
Wow. Such shocking revelations from editor Steve.
So generous of heart. Rebecca, what do you think?
I don't think it's really a question of is Mitchell a farmer. I just don't understand what's happening, because I have the utmost respect for first generation farmers. Like, being a farmer is hard enough. Being a farmer when you don't have land to inherit is so much harder. And figuring out the logistics of it, you have to be a business person. You have to have the ag knowledge. You have to have a lot of grit to get it done. So I have a lot of respect for first generation farmers. That said, I really, really want to know how Mitchell is funding this, because I am assuming he has to work another job to be able to afford the loan on the land. Anything? I don't know, but they never show him going to another farm or another job or anything else. So I'm really confused, and I have a lot of questions, and I would love to sit down with him and just ask him where this is going. What kind of farm are we hoping to have? What's our plan to get there? How many acres does he even have? I don't know.
All right. Justin?
Yeah, I can't really top that. Like, you've really put a lot of thought into it, and all very good points. It's really hard to tell. They call him Farmer Mitchell, so
They call everyone Farmer so-and-so, though.
Now, in the last episode, I noticed when they were out on a date, there were cows present.
No, that was someone else's farm.
Yeah, that was his,
their
like,
date
aspirational
He
farm.
took her to a farm that he was, like, dreaming of his farm becoming.
Okay.
He owns a horse.
The moral of the story is I need to pay better attention to the show, not just look at the pictures. Okay.
Steph, what about you? What do you think about Mitch?
I genuinely hope he never listens to this, because I do not think he's a farmer, and I'm sorry, Mitchell, but I don't understand. I think he obviously has aspirations of being a farmer, and I applaud that. But I don't think he's the right choice for this show, because I feel like you should be an established farmer to be on this show. And I feel like at this point he's kind of like a homesteader. Like he has some raised beds and he has a horse, and I'm like, is that it? Like, to me, if you're saying that you're a farmer, you have a like fairly substantial income. Like, that is your way of life.
Well, let's remember, according to the Census of Agriculture, you only need to make $1,000 in commodity to be ranked as a farmer.
That is accurate. But also, what the heck is he selling to make $1,000?
That is yet to be determined.
Exactly. My hope is, honestly, because last year, thanks to writing about the show, I ended up getting to interview 2 of the farmers from the show last year. My genuine hope is that I get to interview Mitchell and I can actually have him explain his farm to me, because I want him to prove me wrong, but I don't think he's a farmer.
Yeah, when I'm feeling generous of spirit, I like to say that he's more of a homesteader than a farmer. But the title is not 3 farmers and a homesteader want a wife. But when I'm being my normal, like, kind of curmudgeonly self, then I think he's just a guy hanging out in a shack near the woods, and he's got a horse, he's got some, like, hunting bow range. And that does not a farmer make.
Maybe
at least in my opinion.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Maybe he's an astronaut.
Maybe, but it's also not astronaut wants a wife.
And doesn't everybody have to start somewhere?
True. You're all much nicer than I am, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the show. They've left out all of these details on, like, I remember they said that he bought acreage. Okay, but how much acreage are we talking? And then on top of that, how much is actually tillable versus how much of that is forest? And are we going to go into silvopastures? That's a whole nother realm. Like,
here's the thing. The producers clearly did not expect a bunch of journalists from an ag newspaper to watch their show, because now we're going to ask them the tough questions, and they weren't ready for it, clearly. All right. I'm glad we all got that off our chests, at least, for me, because I've been thinking about Mitchell's farm since they announced the show. So let's all move on, leave poor Mitchell alone, and talk about the plot twist. So in season 2, they surprised the farmers and the ladies on the farm by bringing in this new woman that the farmer can decide if he wants to bring her back home to the farm. And they left us on a bit of a cliffhanger. They did not actually show if the guys are bringing her home or not. So what do we think? Are any of these new girls coming home with the farmers? Justin, let's start with your thoughts.
I'm going to go with 3 out of 4. I'm not going to go as far as picking names because, as you know, I forget the names all the time.
Yeah.
I only remember the faces. But yeah, let's go 3 out of 4 coming back to the farm.
All right. Karen?
I agree with those numbers, Justin. And I do have names. I think Brandon and Emerson had a love at first sight.
And she loves potatoes.
yeah.
And
she
she
did love
loves
potatoes.
potatoes.
She'd
Idaho
fit right in
potatoes, though, I
here.
think. So hope that's not trouble. They thought thumb wrestling was really romantic. So who knows? He's going to bring her back, and they might end up together. And of course, my heart has been with Mackenzie and Nathan since the very first episode. And when she came back, I was so excited. And I know he's going to be really torn over it, just because I think that that's his being and how he is. But I just want them to have the happily ever after and have a fairy tale life.
Believe it or not, that's the one I actually think won't bring her back.
And that's funny that you brought
Same.
that, because I am torn about that, because I think that he is going to have like real trouble with who did he have his date with? Taylor. And he finally allowed himself to, I think, enjoy one of the ladies, and they had such a good rapport that I think that is going to be a probable thing for him. So I guess we have to wait till next week.
Wait, who's your third? You said you think 3 are coming.
Oh yeah, I don't know, because Mitchell and Natalie seemed to really hit it off, but then he had to call his brother, so I'm not sure about that. And Ty, I thought he wasn't going to bring her back, but the previews show that Melody seems really pissed off and is ready to leave. So that leads me to believe he is, and I was hoping he's not. So I guess we just have to wait and see.
All right. Rebecca, what about you?
I'm with Justin. I think the guys, other than Nathan, are bringing the girl back.
All right. If you guys are right and 3 girls come back at least, there's going to be some drama on these farms. That's for sure.
I mean, fingers crossed.
That's true. I mean,
That's what I watch for.
Reba's
Right.
gone. Joy, who knows if she's sticking around? So we need the drama somewhere.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we already covered one season-long mystery about Mitchell and his would-be farm. But there's also been another mystery that we've been covering in our write-ups. It's been headed up by lead detective... I'm already laughing, sorry. It's being headed up by lead detective Steve Sieber. And that is, what are these farmers drinking? Because if you watch the show, you'll notice that whenever there are beverages involved, they're usually inserted into koozies. Sometimes they put tape over labels, and it's done for advertising reasons. So it's hard to know 100% what they're drinking. But we have some thoughts and theories. Steve, what do you think these guys are drinking?
The product placement game is a fun game, though. Don't you agree? I mean, was the challenge from the get-go. I gave some thought to where these guys are located and just what their interests are over the first several seasons. So I believe Ty is a Budweiser drinker. He's from Missouri, king of beers, St. Louis. Brandon, he grows barley. So I was trying to think of like a barley forward brew, and I'm not real familiar with what that would be. So my research came across something called triple Carmelet. If you like barley, it sounds like a winner. Barley wine. He might drink barley wine. Nathan, definitely Blue Moon. Nathan, definitely Blue Moon for the citrus. And Mitchell, I guess we're not done picking on Mitchell. I see him drinking Wild Turkey, not because he likes it, because he thinks he should. That's the tagline.
Steve, I have this mental image of you in place of like the Charlie from Always Sunny meme with like all the different like clues on like a mystery board with like string, but it's just all different drink labels and Steve trying to figure out who's drinking what. So yeah. Karen, do you have any thoughts on what might be these farmers' drink of choice?
Yes, thank you for asking. Steve, of course, has made me more aware. So, like, during the episodes, I've been keeping my eyes open. And in the beginning, all 4 guys, they were drinking beer in bottles, of course, with the labels off. So I believe they were drinking a Yingling and 3 Bud Lights. But as the guys, like, move on and have their dates and stuff, I've come up with what I think each guy likes. Nathan, I think he's so wholesome He's not even drinking a beer. He likes his orange juice.
Aw.
Mitchell, he's been going all over the place. Every time he's drinking champagne, he's drinking a spritzer, he's drinking whatever. So I think since he's wishy-washy, I'm going to make him be a white wine drinker. Brandon?
Wait, is that I like white wine?
Yeah,
What
me
does that
too.
mean?
Shots fired. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys, but I'm not a white wine drinker, so
Oh,
I
all
just
right,
that's
all right.
what I gave him.
It's valid.
Brandon, on the other hand, I think he is a beer drinker, so I'm going to give him a good coffee stout. And then, of course, my farmer. He's
Your farmer.
Your
What's
farmer.
his name?
the farmer Ty that I like. He's like a fine wine. He's aged very well. So I'm going to make him drink a dry red. Maybe like a Bordeaux or something.
Wow.
So I'd like to share Bordeaux with him after my horse ride.
Wow.
It's all coming together.
Yep.
I really appreciate like the thought process and research both of you put into that question. That was lovely. I have no idea if we will ever truly solve this mystery, but now all of our listeners, you can join in with head detective Steve and try and figure out what these guys are drinking.
Yeah. And Gumshoe Karen. Let's get her involved.
So the next question is just for the ladies, because you know what, this is the farmhouse, and normally we don't have men here, but today we do, so we're gonna do one just for the ladies, and we're not gonna call it by its real name because we can't do that, but we're gonna play a little game of Kiss, Marry, Avoid with all of the 4 farmers. So who wants to go first? You both look very excited about it, so let's start with Rebecca because she looks thrilled.
I feel like I made my opinion on these guys known at the beginning. So we're going to go with Kiss Nathan, Marry Nathan, avoid everyone else. May I bring back guys from last year? Because I'm still Team Allen.
Yeah, you know
Aw.
what? If you want to, do from both seasons and do it.
Oh,
Whatever
that
you want.
changes my opinion completely.
We have to complicate things here.
Yeah.
No, if we're doing that then, well then you...
Oh, see, now it's
See, this is
now
hard.
it's harder.
Well, no, there's just the fact that I am so much younger than all of these guys. So
Nathan.
like there's this well that's partially why I feel like I choose Nathan. There's no connection between my age and theirs. But pretending age doesn't exist. We're going to go with Kiss Nathan, Marry Hunter,
Ooh.
and avoid Ryan.
Ooh, okay, Ryan. We're sorry, Ryan. All right.
He's been so good to us, and all we
I
do
know.
is turn around and
I
do
have
these sort of
interviewed
things.
Ryan twice, and he genuinely is actually a very nice man. So for anyone who read our stuff last year, my opinion on Ryan has changed a lot since I talked to him in person.
The producers were not kind to him.
Agreed.
Should we clarify you're talking about Farmer Ryan and not Fiance Ryan?
Ooh.
I guess so.
Fiance Ryan, if you're listening to this, don't you worry, you're safe. All right, Karen. If you want to do just this season, that's fine. If you want to add in last season's fellas, that's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with this season's, and I will apologize to husband Dave with anything that I say. So, I wasn't really sure where or how we were going with this, but I have 2 for Kiss. I don't want to kiss Brandon, but he's the one that's asked about the kissing all season. So I just had to kind of give him.
Done any kissing?
Yeah, have you done any kissing? So I just had to mention him. But I think you all know where I'm leading. I had a dream last night and ended
Oh
up
my
kissing Ty. So I would like to kiss Ty. Sorry, Dave. Mary, I will have to go with 2 people for that. I think Nathan is probably one of the most wholesome, sweetest guys. I think he'd make a very good husband. But again, Ty is my age. Nathan is my son's age. So I'm going to marry, or, whatever, not marry him, but Ty. And then avoid, I'm just not a Brandon or Mitchell fan, just because of my personalities don't mix with either of them.
All right. Candace, are you doing
Yeah.
just season 2 or are you embracing season 1?
I mean, I kind of like the idea of having more to choose from.
Yeah.
I did change my answer on the fly because at first, I included Brandon in this in a positive way because I do think he's adorable. I enjoyed his wistful little like "'tis life" in the last episode, but I'm coming down this way. I'm going to kiss Ty. He's my favorite farmer this season. I'm going to marry Hunter. Still my favorite overall. And I will insist that he wears his glasses to the wedding because I think they make him look super adorable. And I'm a fan of glasses in general. And I'm going to avoid Mitch. He pulled that, like, come here, baby, and, like, moved his date's chair over for her. And
Literally,
I cannot with that.
I am well aware that you guys cannot see us, but the girls in the room, like, all just physically shuddered about that. So.
Here's the thing, guys, if you're listening. Women don't generally enjoy being moved about physically, especially in closer proximity with you if you guys are just getting to know each other. You know, if you're, like, together and, you know, it's going great, then maybe, like, scoot me closer. Other than that, let me make that decision.
Yeah, we're officially doing dating advice on the podcast. So yeah, please don't do that. We all cringed at that when we watched it, and we still cringe when we think about it. So, yeah.
What about you, Steph?
I think I will expand to last year's Farmers, which really only changes one thing. So I think I would kiss Hunter, who I've also interviewed. He's a lovely man.
You've more than interviewed him.
Oh yeah, that sounds so much more exciting than it is. But
it really
no,
isn't.
Hunter, my sister turned 30 very recently. Happy birthday, Katie. And we went to Savannah, Georgia to celebrate, and Hunter's from Georgia, and because I had interviewed him, I had his phone number, so I texted him and got suggestions about places we should see and things we should do in Savannah. And yeah, so I had a very, very brief text conversation with him. It was
That's
so
more than I've had.
incredible. But anyway, so kiss Hunter. I would marry Nathan, even though he is a little younger than me, but I'm still in my 20s, so it's not too bad. And I don't know how this show ends, but Nathan, I am single, FYI. And I would avoid Mitchell because he just, like, the vibes are off, and I know people here don't like that phrase, but I'm gonna use it anyway. The vibes are off with Mitchell.
Hard agree. Sorry, Mitchell. All right. I think that's going to wrap things up for us. We're going to go around with the table one more time, give our final thoughts on the season. Rebecca, why don't you start?
I feel like I've been really hard on the guys so far this season. I haven't given up hope that I might feel a little more positive about them by the end. Brandon did start coming out of his shell last episode with his little, like, telling us about his parents and the divorce and how that's affected him and his opinions on Emerson. And I'm starting to see more of a personality and a side of him that I think I could get along with. And Nathan is also starting to come out of his shell. Like, I like Nathan. I think he's a great guy, but I just don't think he and I would connect unless he can come out and show a little more personality. Ty, I'm not sure, bud. I don't know what it is with you. Something's rubbing me the wrong way, but I'll give you a chance. Make the right decision with this woman coming back to your farm, and we'll see what happens. And Mitchell, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Justin?
Mitchell, if you're listening, I defend you all the time with these ladies. Like, I think you're a good dude. I think you're, down to earth. I think, charismatic. I'll keep talking to them. We'll work on it.
Every reality show does need a villain. So, unfortunately, now that the Reba and Joy thing is done, it might be Mitchell.
That's true. It will be interesting to see what he does with his farm. Like, I do look forward to seeing this over, like, the rest of the season and even, like, into the future if there are. We should do follow-ups on him. Yeah, so we can, like, see, like, how does he progress in his farm life. It'd be interesting to see. And then maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a change of heart. But
I will say, I did have a pretty, like, full 180 on Farmer Ryan from last year after I, like, interviewed him and actually talked to him one-on-one. So maybe if I interview Mitchell, I will also do a 180 on him and actually think he's a good guy. We'll see.
I think the show's so filtered. We're getting 1% of everything these guys are doing on the farm, and the ladies too, that it's really hard to tell, like, what's reality and what is just manufactured for TV. I just hope that we continue to have the show every week. Like this, the inconsistency by the network the past couple weeks. I mean, who schedules a presidential address on a Thursday on Farmer Wants a Wife night?
Right.
I mean, come on. Like,
how dare you?
Steve, what's your favorite lettuce?
And also your thoughts on the season.
Also, give your thoughts.
I like radicchio, to be honest with you. It's not underappreciated. It's bitter, but you
It
got to
smells
combine it.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we covered it like
It
a
was
few
in, like,
weeks
a
ago.
pie.
It's pink and white stripe.
Read all about it. Phil Gruber, our news editor, he covered it. But yeah, radicchio, but you got to mix it with a nice green leaf. Normally I go red leaf, but if you're going radicchio, already got some red in there for presentation, so then you go green. But anyway, I just hope, my final thoughts are, the producers are trying to spice it up right now, and I think they realize that more drama is needed. So I am excited to see that the rest of this season is really a test of the producers' creativity. So I'm kind of looking at it from like a behind the curtain kind of thing. What can these producers come up with? Otherwise, if they don't come up with something, I'm turning the channel to Plumber Wants a Wife. It's gonna be.
Karen, your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, Plumber Wants a Wife, Steve. Okay. Well, I feel my coworkers here have been a little harsh on Mitch. I like to call him Mitchell. But I think the one thing that could be his redeeming
Quality factor?
quality, trait, whatever, is Sydney is waiting in the wings for you, buddy. She has been patient, and you know that those two belong together. And I just think he's been stringing her along. So I think that he can redeem himself if he ends up with her. I think that it's going to really come down to how the farmers handle next week. Who's bringing who home, how they're going to, handle it, and how they're going to handle the girls that, have spent the rest of the season with them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes and the rest of the season.
All right, Steph, do you have any closing remarks about the season?
I will say, I don't know. It's such a silly thing how upset I get when I see that it's not on a Thursday, because I feel like I don't feel complete with it without it. Like, when it is Farmer Wants a Wife season, I need to watch it every week. So hopefully that stops and we can like have the rest of the season without interruption, because I want to know what happens. I am intrigued. I definitely have my favorite couples. I have my favorite farmer, which I think is pretty obvious. And I want to see what happens. And at the end of the day, though, I just think it's really funny that we actually even started doing this last year to begin with. And now it's like not even just a topic discussion. Like, it's not just a topic of discussion in like the news portion of the newsroom of like those of us watching, but it's like expanded. It's like the whole building. People in our advertising department will come and talk to me about it. They're like watching it with their partners and their kids or whatever. Like, the show has just like taken over Lancaster Farming, and I love that because it's Farmer Wants a Wife, and we are a farming newspaper, and it all fits, and it's lovely. So I just have a lot of fun watching it every single week with all of you.
Very nice.
What about you?
I mean, same thing. This is not the kind of show that I would normally watch, ever. But it is such a highlight of my week because coming into work the next morning and getting to review it all with you guys is just so much fun, and it's been such a great, like, team bonding experience. Having said that, Mitchell, I am sorry. Maybe I have been coming down a little hard on you. I came down hard on Ryan last year, and I have been enjoying the fact that he is a much better person than I think we had been led to believe. So I am looking forward to a Mitchell redemption arc, whether that is within the show or perhaps through an interview with Steph here.
Yeah, so any of the farmers listening, which I hope is all four of you, I will be reaching out at some point to try and interview you. So just get ready for that.
I assume they're all listening.
You're obviously listening to this, clearly. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I will also add, though, that a note to the producers. I think that there is a lot of potential content for maybe just like an online audience. I remember there were some clips that came out after last season of just the ladies hanging out in the different houses and the fun that they were having all together. And I would love to see more of that, because this may be a show about, farmers trying to find a wife, but usually my favorite parts are when the women are just together and hanging out and having a good time. I like to see that.
So hopefully Fox and the producers and everybody are taking notes, because obviously you're also listening to this, as is, I'm sure, Jennifer Nettles. So thanks for listening, everybody.
All right.
And thank you all for coming to the farmhouse and giving us your thoughts and opinions and having so much fun with us today. It was really cool to do a roundtable, first ever. So that was exciting.
Yeah, thanks y'all. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I loved having everyone in here with us. It was such a treat.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of laughter and everyone had a great time. And hopefully you guys all had a lot of fun listening, and hopefully there was some laughter on your end as well.
Yeah, and you know what, if you enjoyed it and you've never gone over to lancasterfarming.com to read our coverage of the show, I recommend doing that because you will get to read more of our opinions. And we also would recommend that you go over to our TikTok because once a week we post a TikTok where Justin reacts to the most recent episode of Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, so also if you're not watching the show, maybe you should start, especially if you got this far in the podcast and you've never watched the show. I would definitely recommend it. It is on Fox. It airs on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then it streams on Hulu as well. So maybe start watching if you're not already, and definitely read and listen to our thoughts every week because I think we're fun. So.
I think so too. So we will be back next week with more of our regularly scheduled programming. We have a great guest who is going to come on and talk about her experiences as a woman in ag. So please join us then.
Yeah, it's great to be back here at the farmhouse, and it'll be nice to be back next week, of course, with our regularly scheduled programming. And thank you all so much for listening. Again, I really hope you guys had fun because we genuinely had such a blast. So yeah, maybe if you also had a blast, you could give us a little review and a rating, maybe some 5 stars out there.
Subscribe.
Yeah, we would love that. And give us a follow on social media. Lancaster Farming, we're on TikTok and Instagram as @Lancaster Farming, and then we're also on Facebook as Lancaster Farming, so give us a follow. All right, so that wraps it up for our special episode this week. I am Stephanie.
I'm Candace.
And this has been The Farmhouse. We will talk to you later.
Bye.
This special episode of The Farmhouse is copyright 2024 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family.
It was written by Stephanie Spiker and Candace Wierzbowski and produced by Eric Herlock and Matt Lee. The music you've heard throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow. A special thank you to Rebecca Schweitzer, Justin Bucks, Steve Sieber, and Karen Lefevre.